What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. Today, you and I are going to be talking about Timeless 3, which is not a new plugin, but is a plugin that I've slept on for years. Go figure, Timeless. It actually is a really cool delay plugin that I didn't even really mess with until I was making neurobases on my iPad. I just put up a video, by the way, on how to make neurobase within Logic Pro, but you can do it inside of Drambo or any other kind of thing like AUV or something that can host third-party plugins, because that's pretty much what we use anyways, so you don't need Logic for that. But I wanted to talk about Timeless 3 in this video, which is not sponsored, by the way, but I thought that it was so cool that I ended up purchasing it both for iPad and the computer after messing with it, because I was like, wow, this sounds great. So I have this neurobase that I've made. If you all know my channel, this is what we do here, is we make cool bases kind of like this. I have this filtering that's going on that's kind of making it talk that way. I've also got this generator on here that you'll notice has a bunch of effects on here. This is important because even though I've got this on here, and these are also available on alchemy.com for Eternum series, this is from Eternum 6, but I have this thing that I like to do, which is use these generator racks in order to create cool and insane glitches. And I haven't really found a whole lot of stuff that I've deemed to be useful until I found something like Timeless 3. If I turn this on, I've already got this preset set up. It kind of sounds a little bit like this. As far as just like making really cool monster sounds and stuff, there's a lot of reasons why this becomes like super awesome, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But before we do any of that, be sure to like and subscribe to the video if you like what you heard. So in my opinion, I think that Timeless 3 is probably the most versatile of delays. Some people have said that they disagree, and that's totally okay, but I am here to tell you why I think it is. The big thing with this is that this isn't just a delay plugin. It's got multiple taps. It's got a 6-band EQ. It's got drive, lo-fi, diffuse, dynamics, pitch. It's got different means of either tape or stretching. It also has a bunch of controls for the delay itself, and you can also freeze it. So what that tells me is that it's basically a multi-effect. And what I love about this is that there's modulators built into it, which now with the new FabFilter stuff that's coming out as of late, more modulators are being built into it, or the same kind of thing, like Volcano, Saturn, the likes. And that's great because that means that I can pretty much do a lot with very little. And also, the FabFilter stuff is usually just super efficient on CPU. So as much as I love Faceplant and Snap Heap and Multipass and stuff, like you can kind of get away with doing like one or two of these without stressing out your computer at least a little too hard or whatever. So with that being said, there's so much about this that I actually really love. So if we were just start over here on the left, you've got these taps with this tap delay here, and you can right click and randomize taps. You can space them evenly and create a bunch of stuff. But what's really sick about this as well is that you'll see here that we've got these values of percentage and dB and panning and all that stuff. Well, guess what? You can actually modulate each tap, whether it be through the panning or the percentage as a whole. So if that wasn't cool enough, then I don't know of any other plugin that can do this. It might exist, but I don't know of that. So that's pretty wild. So with that, you can also modulate modulators. So we've got pretty much just a randomizer in step mode here. I can drag this over, and I can have my Faceplant fix on here for being able to, change the timing of when I want this to go. We've got lo-fi, diffusion, dynamics, and pitch. We really want to focus on changing the pitch on this of some sort. So I can modulate this, turn it on, and just set it to be whatever it is that I want it to be. And then along with that, this as a whole is already really cool. And because if you change this into tape mode, then what it's going to do is it's going to pitch around. So if I were to play a note, which is pretty cool. If I were to set this to, hold on, let me see where this is at. But if I were to set this to one of these guys, I'm going to turn this off. and then drag this over here. Then I can change this into step mode, so that way it's going to be a little bit more transient based. You can also see that I can toggle between tap and all this as well, which is pretty cool. But with this, we can adjust the feedback. On the feedback, we can change this between positive and negative, which is really cool. And then we can also change the crossover or the feedback panning if we only want it to go to one side, which I think is also pretty neat. But the true thing behind this that I think is really awesome is that this has a 6-pan EQ that you can modulate. And if this has a low pass or high pass on it, then you can actually change into a distortion type, kind of like a nonlinear filter. So I can change this to like tube. But not only that, but what I love about this in particular is if I were to make a window, I can highlight all of this, and then I can just grab this and apply this all to one. And so now all I have to do is change the values of this in order to get, you know, different stuff happening. You've got this plus or minus sign over here. So I can change that between plus or minus. Maybe we'll do that one. I'm not really paying attention, so I don't know what this is doing, but you can see how this is just kind of going crazy now, which is super sick. And because of that, I can move this over here and make this open up and close and whatnot. This is 4, so I'm going to make this open up a little bit more to where it actually opens. That way it's not just being low pass the whole time. But if you see, like, this is a huge thing, especially if you know my channel with doing complex filtering and stuff, because you can create vowels with this delay. And that's how we were getting such cool timbres and stuff on the demo that I was showing. So because of that, and then the combination between, you know, the taps and the other effects that we have, if I were to just play this, then we can kind of see if we can get anything interesting. Yeah, it just seems like it's melting. It's sick. Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's like falling apart now, which is really cool. The other thing is that we can actually grab another modulator on here to change this into freezing this. So this will capture this and kind of like create like an everlasting feedback or delay sound, which I think is cool. So being able to kind of toggle that on and off while this pitches in some cases could be kind of cool. Hit play, but I don't have anything recorded, but yeah, it just sounds like it's just swampy and melting, which I love. You've got cross feedback or a cross mix on here, which is cool. And then again, we can switch in between this. You can also set this to different timings if you want it to. So if I wanted to do this like 1/4 and we set that here, then we can change the offset, which I think is also really interesting, because it creates like, it's almost like track delay, but it's delay offset. I don't know. That's crazy though. Yeah, it's just like swampy, man. And of course, like we have this set at 100% mix, so we wouldn't necessarily want to do that to the fullest. You know, we might want to do something like a 50-50 or create a parallel chain or whatever. But what's really cool is like once you take this concept and then you throw it back into that same idea that I have of maybe even using another snap heap, right? Which again is just a bunch of effects or something that's not too unsimilar as what we're using here. So reverser, bit crusher, which would be like lo-fi, delay, chorus, ensemble, which we can kind of replicate with the diffuser, phaser. If we were to set this to be really high, then we can create kind of like a comb filter / phaser, distortion, reverb, which would kind of also sort of fall under the diffusion. And then we've got this guy, which is almost the exact same thing as what I'm doing here. So you see, like, this is kind of already built in to this. And if we're thinking about using this in tandem with each other, then we might even get something that's even cooler. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do to mess with this, and that's why I think Timeless 3 was definitely worth a review. I would say wait for their summer sale to where you can get it 25% off. It's also a lot cheaper on the iPad than it is on the computer, but even still, I think that as a sound mangling tool, this is definitely one to keep an eye on if you are interested at doing any of the kinds of sounds that I make. So thanks, guys. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I think that I'm starting to like get motivated to hit that 20K region. So if you all want to help me get there, I would love it if you just hit the sub button. You can always unsub if you want to. Leave a comment. I'm happy to talk to you all about anything, and join the Discord. I've got a bunch of free stuff, or book a lesson with me, alchemy.com, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go to bed.